just want to start with some examples, good or bad, but I'll go first. Marvel.
I'll go first.
Marvel.
Now,
Why? Every time.
Okay, but I've got a point. I'll call out Marvel on this because a lot of the chaos that's happening, it's just a backdrop. It's not necessarily key to the story in any way. Like generic aliens flying around, a portal opens in the air, and there's millions of them coming through, but you don't feel that sense of panic. What you're more interested in is your favorite character and what they're going to do. So I just like to put forward that example. Marvel as a whole, because they're all guilty. So let's just start there.
You mean you're saying we're more interested in watching that power up scene happen, so they just gear up and just go handle it? But
Yeah,
we don't citizens who are powerless.
Yeah, we don't feel the threat because it's just these generic, whatever they are, spaceships, aliens, destroying millions of buildings, and countless lives have already been. Yeah, like lives are being lost.
There are people in there.
It's even the opposite of not just we don't see the threat. We're excited about the moment because we're like, oh, we know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again,
well, they make a scene with the Hulk. He said, "Well, I find this gratuitous," and that's at the end, right?
Yeah, where
comes back full circle, and he's just like, he has to kind of mimic himself from the past.
Yeah, so it's just the destruction element. A lot of stories, they just use it as a backdrop where, again, it's really impersonal, hard to connect with because the stakes are just they're not really established. It's like so big that we can't comprehend like an entire planet coming to invade us and we're dealing with these alien issues. So do you have any other examples? It could be in a book, could be in any kind of media of that trope.
I think Independence Day 4 is a really good one, or ID4 as they call it, the original 90s one, right, with Bill Pullman, Will Smith. I mean, that's perfect. It's you have the same sort of anticipation when you see the big imposing spaceships coming through, and they play this like really eerie music, but no one's really scared. You're just like, all right. And especially if you were American in the time, right? Like, my goodness, you don't want to celebrate that now, but in the 90s, you're like, yeah, America, woo, and then they really bring in the entire planet, and everybody's just kicking alien ass. I think now, even then, it was the intention was probably more to be like, hey, this is going to be scary. It's going to be really, really, really world ending, right? But everybody was just like, no, we know what's coming.
Actually, I disagree with you that people knew what was coming. I think they were, that scene in Independence Day where they're on top of, what is it, like the Empire State or the Statue of Liberty, I think, and then they blow it up. That was televised, and I think that fear rippled through American, the world. Sorry, I don't be so small-minded, but the globe. I think that whoever was able to see that, it rippled through them, and everyone. That was the whole point of the movie, right? We had to come together as a globe, right, as humans, to battle this force that we know is not our friend based off of this event. I don't think they knew that was what was coming. They're showing us, hey, don't be the first one to say, hey, we come in peace. It's like, hold on. We don't know each other. Do we come in peace? And that's I think that was the moral of that story. But anyway, I'll stop there.
What do you think about this one, Kylie? Because
I'm thinking about War of the Worlds with the dodgy sets going 60-50. I think it was in the 60s and 70s where there's a character, the parson, and I've seen a stage show this year. War of the Worlds was something that I grew up listening to. It's a stage play, Jeff Wayne. And in the story, you've got Phil Lynott, an amazing musician, being the pastor, and he says they're not aliens, they're devils, and he basically, the heat ray from the Martian kills him. But I mean, today, if an alien was to land anywhere, also there's there's a program, and it had Diana, and it was an American, V. Do you remember V? Have you watched V? A program where basically these aliens come to Earth, but they're not aliens, they're reptiles, and basically they've got skin over them. Again, 70s, 80s, and they remade it, and it's really good, but then it just stopped. And there was a time where we used to watch it on Sci-Fi Channel. So going back to Phil Lynott, I don't know, I mean, would we as humans accept it, or would we, ask for the Hulk to turn up to, because the Hulk just smashes anything, whereas Thor, there's two. I mean, I love Marvel, I love Thor, but you've got Thor that's very drunk, or you've got Thor with his hammer and he's going smashing around, saving the day.
Do you think that's intentional then of Marvel to make it more of a comedy thing?
Pause. Hold on. I wanted to address your earlier comments before we move back to Marvel, if I may, because you hit on some very powerful statements. I'm just going to jump right into it. One, love War of the Worlds reference. H.G. Wells. Yeah. Love H.G. Wells and in his writing, specifically science fiction. But the adaptations continue to move on, right? You said in screenplay and how it manifested. Is that what you?
Yeah,
you said the screenplay, right?
Yeah, there's War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, and I know for a fact there's War of the Worlds. It's not a play, but basically you go to this place in London, and you go basically being chased by aliens, and you have to put a backpack on and literally climb through a window. It's brilliant, but it's mad. And I was just thinking that if
Cloverfield.
I can't think what it was called. There was this just stage play. It was definitely in London. I'll find it in a minute, and if I can put a link into it. But what I'm saying is that H.G. Wells has been around for hundreds of years, a bit like Shakespeare. I absolutely hate Shakespeare, thanks to my English teacher, because he thought he was William Shakespeare. I mean, those are the days where they used to throw things at us, bounce off your bloody head, like the board rubbers. The chalkboard rubbers bang on the head. You wouldn't dare. And every time I hear Shakespeare, I think of him. And what I'm saying is that all these things that you see and watch, there's a memory to it. And I'm hoping to do a PhD next year where sound can actually take you back to watching something. So, like the wobbly sets of Doctor Who in the 70s and the 80s. Some of the films of the 50s and 60s, the black and white. I mean, I grew up watching Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd. I love Laurel and Hardy. I mean, those black and white early films had a lot of character, had a lot of the silent films, had a lot of emphasis in it. It told a story, whereas today, I've got a Cineworld card and I watch a lot of films, and some of the films I'm sitting there because I'm being a script writer myself. I'm thinking, I work out the plot really quickly. Friends have stopped going to the cinema with me now. They're like, no, stop it, behave. And I sit there thinking sometimes it's the dialogue, it's the plot holes. It doesn't work. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is the payback? You're watching this and you're putting all this time in, and you want to pay off. Whereas I think Marvel does it really well. The goodie gets, the baddie gets, banged up. The goodie gets, it's payback, that kind of thing.
But all right, I'll elaborate.
Can I make my statement? Sorry, I'm going to interrupt both of y'all.
Right,
can I make my statement?
Yeah, go
sure.
for it.
Because I think it's more powerful than the current conversation. But one, you did say something that was actually very genuine. H.G. Wells has been around for a while. 1898 specifically was when that was published, and it is still around. They're still trying to adapt it. Sure. I think that's powerful. But back to the conversation, I asked the question, the global ending catastrophe, what was the point of that? Was it the point of, hey, this could be a thing that happens to you guys in the future? When you think about it in perspective, he put this out in 1898. He's writing this. What science fiction, material do you really have access to?
Yeah, no references back then.
Right? And so you're a visionary at that point in time, right? And now you're saying, hey, I'm going to write something. I think in a way that's propaganda, right? These are my thoughts and you should be prepared for this. But there are just as equally other, stories that say, hey, this option can happen too. You could be attacked and it could be a loving thing, you could be attacked right? Or you could be visited and it'd be a loving thing, but you just don't understand it. So let me stop there. That's what I wanted to get back to.
And
go on, sorry.
Okay, so just to talk back to your Marvel point, my problem with Marvel is the fact that it's more about the spectacle, like the threat of like aliens coming and taking over and destroying, like causing billions worth of damage. That's not, we don't really feel that. Like we're just excited to see them flying around, and like we were talking about with Independence Day, the back and forth between the humans and the invaders. We don't really feel the stakes or the scale of the threat, which is my problem.
It's not shown from our perspective. It's shown from the hero's perspective. It's not shown from a civilian's perspective.
Yeah,
I think it would be a completely different movie. That's why I like that's Cloverfield reference.
That's going to bring me on to like when we get into how to improve the trope as well, because again we're talking about I was talking about poor examples of in media of how it's used. Like we can talk about some good examples if you have any others of where that trope's been used, the end of the world trope specifically.
I just wanted to point out from your script, I thought you were alluding to I Am Legend. Am I wrong?
Great film.
I am, again, that's another one where it's so personal, and it kind of works because it's following a man and his dog, and obviously you put it's the whole save the cat thing. You throw the animal in there, show him caring for it. We like that. We get connected to that almost immediately.
Some of us do.
Well, yeah. You have to like animals. Again,
I love it. It's interesting. An interesting point you bring up there. Like, are there any sort of big, like, blockbuster movies like that where it is solely focused on the hero, where you do feel it, where it is personal?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, can't think of any. I can, of course, think of several, movies that are told from the point of view, like Mike said, like Cloverfield, of, direct point of view of a civilian, so to speak, impact. Night of the Living Dead, the original one, comes to mind, like the 1968 film, I think, George Romero. That one, right, told completely from the perspective of somebody directly involved, and really brings it home in the end, even when, the protagonist, after having survived this awful experience, just gets murked by the extermination crew because they mistake him for a zombie. So it's not the happy ending you get. So you almost have to separate those two into different genres. Even it's not, the world-ending films, right? It's like a fun action film versus an actual apocalypse horror film.
And I think
couldn't agree more.
You bring up another good point as well. The genre does impact how the trope's used as well, because obviously Marvel, we're going in. It's not really serious. It's just kind of like you can turn your brain off a little bit sometimes with those films because they're so formulaic that, like Kylie said, you can go in and you know what the plot's going to be. You know at what point where the turning point comes in or which act you're currently watching. So I do think genre plays a key part there. And another one I want to bring up is Last of Us. I don't know if you're familiar with that as well, where it's another kind of like zombie situation. I think it was 2012, the original. It started as a game. But that's following like Joel, the main character. He meets Ellie. Like she's the cure for the virus. He doesn't know it at the time. But even though the world's ending around them, it's more focused on the interpersonal connection and experience between them. So I feel as an audience, you buy into that a lot more than if it's just this wide-scale threat that we're all meant to care about. We find that hard to care about because we can't really deal with perspectives on that scale.
I think that's why these shows are losing audiences. The first season, cool, but then every other season they're losing audiences. And I say that because it's not authentic. We could care less about their relationship. We care more about the fact that they have to survive. Yeah. And we want to see how they survive. That's why I think, the shows like Survivor and The Amazing Race have dwindled because it turned into a gimmick. Yeah. It used to feel more authentic and like, watch these amateurs try to get through this incredibly tough obstacle course. And everyone at home is like, oh, I would do it differently. I would do it differently.
No, again, Survivor.
You're engaged.
Have you watched a program called The Strain? I think it's called.
Heard of it. That's an older one.
Yeah, it was.
2001-ish.
Yeah, I think it was that. The strain, I think is what it's called. Basically, they're like vampires, but they're not. They infect other people, and basically they're living against these people, and that goes back to this guy World War II who basically wants to take over the world. I mean, in the end they all die, the whole world is corrupted and it's blown up. But also, like you said about the future and that lot, I love Doctor Who. David Tennant is one of my all-time Doctor Who's, along with Tom Baker. And there was a series where David Tennant is the Doctor and John Sims is the Master. And John Sims basically has gone forward in time, but goes back in time in the TARDIS. And he basically creates this alien called the Toclophane. Now, the Toclophane is us in this metal form. And basically, it sets out in the story that human beings destroy themselves. Now, I love Russell T Davies writing. Absolutely love it. But the current series with the new guy, the Doctor, I don't know what planet, pardon the pun, that Russell T Davies is on. He's done some really great things like Queer as Folk and a few other things, but he was brilliant with David Tennant as the Doctor. But now that universe is completely disintegrated. I don't know whether it's trope, I don't know whether it's the writing, I don't know whether it's the acting, but it just seems the energy of the David Tennant days is not there anymore.
So do you think that's a case of like fatigue? Like, again,
yeah,
we see season after season the same formulas. Do you just think maybe the audience moves on after a while?
Maybe. I mean, I loved it with Christopher Eccleston. I loved it with David Tennant. I wasn't too keen on Matt Smith, but when I watch it now, Peter Capaldi, I don't know what happened to the writers, because it's just, I don't know. And then the writers that were doing Doctor Who, that was Stephen Moffat, was also doing Sherlock, and it seemed to
Sherlock's
be like
good.
Sherlock. The early Sherlocks of Stephen Moffat were brilliant, but then it's almost like we're morphing into Doctor Who, and Doctor Who was morphing into Sherlock. It just seems to be it didn't gel for me. And I like I said, I watch a lot of TV. I watch, lots of films, and I want to sit there and enjoy it and get into it.
Yeah,
it's like the Guinness Family. I want to watch that, but I want time to binge watch it with lots of popcorn and chocolate, because and not to move, because lots of people have told me it's brilliant, and I don't want to hear that. I want to make up my own assumptions of something. I watched Continuum. I love sci-fi. I watched Continuum. That was brilliant. But towards the end of that, to me, this lady was just roaming around in space and not getting her family. There was another version of her with her family, and she was left walking the rest of the universe for the rest of her life. So I wasn't very happy with that.
So the stakes are quite hard to connect with. Okay, then. So let's move on to the next segment. This is scenes we'd hate to read. And for this one, all I want you to do is come up with a single sentence of the pettiest motivation that a villain could have to end the world.
The pettiest.
The pettiest you can think of.
I think that being scorned by a lover, being dumped by somebody, because if let's say it's about online dating, right? Online dating is horrible. Okay, honestly, it is. Especially when one guy said to me once, online dating is like online shopping. You buy one, you get one free. I think, am I in the discount aisle? You know what I mean?
That's crazy. I can't believe he said that.
Honestly, he did. I was like, oh, okay. But what I'm saying is, if it was the end of the world and someone got done for dating, basically got done for dating, I know a few people will probably end the world because their world is ended because they got dumps.
Yeah.
kind of thing. I don't know why I'm bringing online dating into it, but it's
nah, that's quite petty. I wasn't expecting that. But...
No, but people don't want relationships. They just, situationship or see you next week. They've got about 100 people on the go. But it's just, honestly, I really would love to write a sitcom with that word in it, because
that's hilarious.
That would be very good, vengeful, kind of thing. But there you go. But yeah, I think that if someone would be really petty, from my own experiences, is being dumped because they love somebody. That's
probably historically started a lot of things as well.
Yeah,
like we don't know about. Like we hear about these grand events that happen, but it might have just started over someone getting dumped.
Definitely.
And they went on a conquest across the continent.
Right, rule the world. If they don't want me, then nobody can have them. Delete.
What do you think for this one, ML Remy? Like the pettiest reason.
I don't think it's petty necessarily, but for me, I would hate to read that moment where you find out the person who caused it all pressed the red button, and then you see the sticker be folded back up and it says, "Don't push the red fucking button."
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't think it would end the world. You know what I mean? It's like, why would they put a button?
Yeah, you know what?
It? Or why would they give it a button? It's just like everyone's gonna press the button. I was like, yeah, but it tells you not to press the button. Yeah, but the tape was peeling off. It wasn't very permanent. That kind of moment would piss me off / make me very happy, because I'm like, are you serious? Through ignorance?
Well, isn't it always
we
through
die
ignorance?
because of your ignorance?
That's fair to say, because I was thinking as well, like I instantly knew what you were talking about with the red button. Like we've seen it so many times, we all instantly went to that moment in our heads. We don't know where we saw it.
Someone who's going to press it.
We know
someone who had pressed it.
We know the archetype. We know that. Yeah, like it's just crazy that I had an instant recollection. I don't even know where I saw it, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can visualize it. What do you think for this one, Philip?
My mind goes to, and this is funny for me because this is probably, and Mike could probably attest to this. He's ridden in the car with me enough, but something like road rage or something like that. And I think the most recent example I have is that movie Unhinged with Russell Crowe, where he gets cut off, right? And all of this comes to light that he's really dealing with all this other stuff, but he just like goes nuts and goes on a personal vendetta and ends up killing this girl's entire family while trying to get to her.
Oh wow!
There's another one. Mike, you can help me out here. You may know better than me. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it's an older movie. It's same premise. I just can't think. I think it's Michael Douglas, maybe, who is in it. Yeah, that's who it is. Let's see what the name of it is. Falling Down. It's 1993. Similar premise. He has a rough time at work. I think something like that, like a or failure to get a promotion, and he calls the end of the
with an Uzi.
Yes, he has the Uzi, right? Yeah, Michael Douglas with the Uzi. So
that's that postal worker. He's not a postal worker, but that's that you go postal. That's where that saying goes.
I was going to say I've heard that before. Yeah.
Well, so that goes for when you just get so fed up and you just go to work and you just take it out on everyone you're frustrated on, and usually that's depicted as a post office worker.
Yeah.
But that's basically what this Falling Down is about. It's just like that last straw.
Yep.
But Phil, I wanted to go back to something you said that triggered it. It's really about, you said destroying someone else's life. To me, I think that is powerful, and that's the most petty thing. And I think that ties into what you said, Kylie. It's like, sure, there's that relationship part of it, but you're destroying someone else's life, regardless of whether you think you are or not, right? It's really how that person feels, and you can't always dictate how they feel. And so I want to bring up an example of The Foundation. Is anyone watching that right now on Apple TV?
No.
Started out in 2001, but it's doing really great right now. But anyway, there's a scene where essentially an emperor, he's built this black hole machine that's also like a planet, not to Star Wars, but he's able to blow up planets with the snap of his finger. And he does it to three particular planets, and the representatives of those planets, the ambassadors, were on his home planet in front of him. And he did that because they went against him. He killed their entire planet because their single representative, in this political atmosphere, didn't go according to plan. And I'm like, that is the single most petty thing you could possibly do. I'm going to kill your homeworld because you didn't move with me. Wait, what? You're going to kill an entire planet?
Yeah.
Like everybody, not just my family, like everyone on the planet. Wow. And that, to me, it's like, that was done in, I want to say, less than 2.5 minutes of TV. But it still sticks with me. And I'm like, that was really petty.
Yeah. No,
but it was a blink of an eye.
How does the ease of that pettiness make you feel?
It makes me feel like if we ever get to that point in humanity, we already lost.
Well,
oh man,
fair enough.
Might be going down a dark turn here.
Yeah, I was going to say we might be halfway there.
We get there. We
could be halfway there. Okay, so for the next prompt, I want you to think of the lowest stakes apocalypse you can think of. So, for example, whole world runs out of coffee. Very low stakes, but it's still a problem.
Well, I'm allergic to coffee, so it won't happen to me. I'll be all right.
I mean, the immediate one that has to come to mind is like the toilet paper.
Oh my God.
Yeah, during lockdown. I remember taking my daughter to the supermarket, and you have to follow everybody and you have to go round because you missed something. I remember going there and in my head I got old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard. In my head there was no pasta left and she was crying, and it was like toilet roll, pasta, salt. It was just flour. Well, where I was, but there was nothing left.
Yeah, flour was very scarce. But don't you think that's crazy that we're talking about something that really happened? We're meant to be on, this is meant to be on a high note. It's meant to be fiction, but I almost forgot that happened.
I know, but we saw people fighting over toilet roll, bashing each other over the head.
Yeah, that was very real.
Real life, and you just think
it's your next door neighbor.
Yes, well, they were arguing. Actually, how did you know that? It was really, and you think, oh my God, it's Hellish. And she's arguing, I've got a toilet roll in my house.
Oh my God!
Would be more concerned with the ones who weren't arguing for it.
But, well, I know, probably
going the ones who stole it.
Probably going in the bush.
Yeah, like, what have they got up their sleeve?
I mean, you're only allowed out an hour a day. I was going out 2-3 hours, like walking one dog. Can't walk them all together. I've got to do it separately. That's how you got over it. And the end of the world for toilet paper. It's
that's so crazy. I completely forgot that happened, but that's so real.
Well, to that point, I was just going to say, people had to wear masks over their face and they lost their damn mind. They just couldn't do it. There's a large group of the world that were like, nah, I can't do that.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
Using the French stick loaf, kill him over the head. I can just see it now. And my daughter just standing there. Then all of a sudden, now and again, she's 13 now, she'll say, Mum, do you remember that time we were in the supermarket and someone was getting hit over the head with a French stick? Well, I said, do you fancy tiger loaf for dinner? Yeah, okay. Soup, yeah, right. Then she comes out of it and I'm just sitting there crying. She says, what? It wasn't that funny, Mum. People got hurt. But to me, it was.
That's a core memory that we as a world were able to provide for your daughter.
I know, but it was just...
It's insane when I think about it. Like, that I still can't believe that's real. Like, that's not fiction. If I was to read that in 20 years' time in a book or something, that, there was really almost a war over toilet roll.
And also when it's like petrol, oh my God, we had like petrol shortage where we are. People queuing up, and when you're only allowed £20, people were filling up. And the people were arguing, and there was one. I was in Tesco supermarket, and there was one guy. He got a black bin bag, and he was trying to put diesel in the black bin bag, right? And he got really. They shut the petrol station doors because he was coming up. He was screaming at them. Basically, as he was filling it up, it was coming out of the bag. Of course, everyone was laughing.
Oh God!
But that again, what happens is that you say about apocalypse, and lots of people. I'm on a call.
I'm saying no.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, it's my son. Sorry. Basically, people were stockpiling. So on toilet roll. So it's like the end of the world. If the world was ended, then they'd be okay. They'd be cushioned in toilet roll.
It's very low
They wouldn't do
stakes.
anything about it.
Yeah, and again, that's a good one actually. Like, I wasn't expecting a real one from my history. I was expecting something fun, something fictional. What do you think about this one, ML Remy? What can you think of? Low stakes apocalypse.
Low stakes. You have to remain at the same job for the rest of your working career.
This is just getting
Whatever
sad
it
now.
is. Whether you can't grow, you don't get to be promoted, you don't get to change jobs.
No prospects.
You don't get to change teams. Everyone work. It's kind of like Severance. You're working with the same people for the rest of your working career.
That would be an apocalypse.
Really sad.
I was gonna
Everything
say,
else
like,
is the same. Everything else is the same. Whatever you are doing right now, you have to do for it all. That would be sad for some people, which is what makes people think, okay, I got to change what the hell I'm doing today.
so that
I
would
think
be
that's the moral of it. You have to make them feel like, wow, low stakes, right? It's literally nothing's changed about what I said. Whatever you're doing today, you must do forever. But the idea that you may never progress, that's sad as hell.
That's interesting as well, because I think if a story was to start there with that ongoing, there's an interesting story to tell in a universe where that's the case. I can see something where it starts out like, yeah, because we get a lot of these things, hate their job, like, you know, Fight Club, things like that, where it starts at that point, the breaking point, and it's just, where do they go? Do they go off the deep end? Do they continue? Like, how are they affected by the stakes? I think that's what it always comes back to as well.
Because if everyone stops doing what they're doing, the world stops. Production stops. You know, man, everything stops.
Yeah.
So I think that is apocalyptic, right? That's why that's the stake. You have to do whatever you're doing right now, because whatever you're doing is keeping the world going. I'm not saying that's a positive thing,
It's sad.
but whatever you're doing is doing it.
To your point of that not being a positive thing, I think that's something for all of us peons, and I apologize for lumping you all in. I'm just assuming that none of you are billionaires on this call. We should keep that in mind.
Safe assumption.
Yes.
The world stops, you know?
And I just think, again, with this trope, low stakes, it's very easy to slip into the formula like we spoke about earlier with H.G. Wells, because he's been around for so long. He'll get referenced until the end of time, probably. We'll see remakes.
Isaac Asimov, too. 1942 to 1950, he dropped The Foundation, that series that I was talking about, and it's still going right now,
Damn.
strong.
1942.
Think about that. The authors, Peter Pan.
J.M.
Come
Barrie.
on.
Yeah, J.M. Barrie.
People need to be authors. People who have something good to say.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say good. People who have something positive or productive. That's the right word. People who have something productive to say.
Yeah, that's a
That
good
could be
point.
whatever to whatever.
Because it cuts through, doesn't it? The generations. And it stands the test of time. Like, we're going to be seeing remakes of Peter Pan forever, probably.
I wouldn't, remakes, yes, but what is a remake other than the iterative update of it, right? A child's mind who turned into an adult, and then they started writing the later versions of this story that sits with them since childhood.
Yeah.
That is the goal. I hope an author, once they're long gone, they
Yeah.
have their story continue to go. That's the whole point. It's a legacy.
I suppose it depends on who gets their hands on the IP.
Exactly. The execution part, that's where the quality starts to fall. You start to lose the audience, but you know what? The story will live on
Yeah.
because there will be someone who takes it and brings it back.
Yeah. Someone who
There's a bit-
cares.
That's it.
No, he's a bit like H.G. Wells. I mean, was he a visionary of his time? Could he see into the future? I mean, I teach meditation and mindfulness. That's my background. I'm a qualified hypnotherapist. And I think sometimes is with all these ideas that we have out there, are people tapping into a different reality? H.G. Wells and then J.M. Barrie and, would the Star Wars films or Marvel films get remade in, say, 50 to 100 years' time? Will someone pick them up and say, right, I like this idea, we've got a different idea on it? I loved with Star Wars, they did some stories on Han Solo, how he got started And I really liked that. I wanted more of his story and how he met Chewie. And like with Peter Pan, you've got the cartoon version, but you've also got the version with Julia Roberts and Dustin Hoffman. I think it was
Robin
him.
Williams.
Yeah. And Robin Williams, he's just
Hook. That was a good one.
Rest in peace.
Yeah,
I liked Hook.
I love Mork Mindy. You know, again, I grew up watching that. He was just so quick with his, when he was being interviewed, it's almost, it just slips off the tongue, you know, naturally. Yeah, he was one of my favourites. Still is, in a way.
I think Hook is a really good example of this, and I know like the goal of the theme is, you know, to really invoke emotions and really get your readers to buy in and to feel it.
Yeah,
I think that movie did a really great job. It took what is kind of like a happy fairy tale and really brought it to the adult platform and said, hey, you know, we're really going to make you feel as if you are Robin Williams, and you're going to every single step of the way.
Yeah,
and I mean. Really well acted from everybody mentioned.
Yes.
Him in particular, they're just like pulling on the heartstrings the whole friggin' movie.
Well, execution. We go back to that. The story is saved through its execution. If it's executed well, everyone's back on board. Yeah. And they were like, oh, I love that version. They could care less it was a remake.
True.
If it was done well. If it was done poorly, oh my gosh, they made another one.
That's a really good point, actually, because I'd actually care that that's a remake.
Yeah, and
that's the original, right? Like, there's a lot of people.
It's not the original.
I know, of course.
Yeah,
we all. A lot of people think.
Yeah, in my eyes, it is.
The press in the UK just would slaughter it. And another good film of Robin Williams is Good Morning Vietnam. I mean,
Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that in the cinema, and then I watched it again, and I remember towards the end of that film how he was so angst trying to get stuff out there and talk about, I mean, you could see the character of him was cracking because he was trying to tell the truth and he was trying to be comedic at the same time, and you know, and that's another one that it will stick in my mind, that film, and how he delivered it. You know, I don't think anybody else could have played that character as well as him. You know, you put another.
I couldn't agree more with you on that statement about, you know, being able to portray real life situation that is sensitive to the world, like the Vietnam War, but to put it out in that way. Usually when you put it out in words, it's more widely accepted as and allowed to be.
Yeah.
But if you put it out as a blockbuster, depending on what regime it is, that movie could be eventually shelved and never seen again. And that's scary. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think those types of movies are quicker to go away, I think, because someone's going to try to own it and make it go away. That's intentional. I say things like that because I think of, artists like Nina Simone, and she spoke about civil rights in her music. And, you know, but during that time, what happened? The American government, and this is me reading blogs and things like that. I wasn't born at this time, but like, you know, there's so many groups that moved against her. I would say like that. Forget the American government. She assumed it was one force, but it was many forces moving against her by buying up her catalog. You know what I mean? Like moving intentionally because they had, I would say, legal authority, institutional privilege, if you in that time frame, you know, 60s, 70s, and she's singing along. She has a following, and that's scary. You have a following? Oh no, you can't speak to those following. You say that following, you can't move them in your way. And you're talking about civil rights? Oh no, absolutely not. What did she do? She left America.
Yeah, and they buried the story essentially. And but again,
that lady died poor.
Yeah, it cuts through though, because again now people are becoming more aware, and you find little bits and pieces, and then you read more about it. But you are right, because even with what Larry Ellison's doing, where he's buying Paramount, he's buying all these media companies, they could just decide to turn off certain messages. They could just decide, well, we don't want that in the lexicon of where society's going, so we're going to remove that. and the next generations, they won't have any knowledge of. It is scary because it's kind of like you're shaping history in an unnatural
Own your own
way.
content.
That's the only
content.
way to circumvent that kind of issue.
But do you think people do that when they feel less in control? Because at the moment with the news, there are certain things when I'm like intuitively, I think, right, that person's losing control.
Yeah,
that's because they're doing that. They're doing that, and I won't name and shame someone, but I'd love to. But there you go. But and he's quite orange at the minute. But sorry, but to me, he. I'm just using that as an example. Where somebody is not losing, they're losing their. I don't know, not power, but
I get what you're saying because it's decentralized.
Control is changing.
Yeah, they
That's
can't control the
It's
narrative. It's
hands.
easier now.
Yeah.
Like
The
now,
control.
they used to control the narrative. There was only like in England anyway. We had we had 5 channels when I was growing up.
Same here.
So it's kind of like whatever was on TV, everyone had a shared sense of reality. We were all watching the same things. But it's like now because it's so decentralized, you don't know who's in control of the narrative or what agenda they're pushing. But that's a different topic. That's completely like we'll go down a negative path if we get into.
But you're right. You're right. I mean, I was a TV controller. I used to get up and Dad says, "Right, switch the TV over to BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV1." And that was ITV Anglia. That was it. Then Channel 4 turns up, and then Channel 5.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying, and it's I don't know. What we watch, we're in more control of it. We can binge watch in a day, or we can do it like once a week.
I want to give you something to think about to the end of this, and then we can move on. You think to all of your points, right? Like whoever has the control writes the narrative. So you think about what you've been taught, what you've absorbed as coming up in your life, and I mean, how much of that is true? How much of it is really written by the people that are? Because let's be real, like, I mean, the allies are all of the rich and powerful, right? It's not
right.
This country, that country. So
yeah, it's a class thing.
How much of history as we know it as a whole is even true?
That's a whole different bag.
A real nasty one. Anyway.
Yeah, like, and again, like my last point on this is, was it better to have fewer channels because there was more connection because we were all watching the same things, we all had the same kind of like humor, same jokes. Like you could meet someone across the street, they were watching the same shows you were watching. Now you don't know what they're consuming, so that's another thing to think about. Is it better?
And but we also had a lot of programs then. I mean, we had Dallas, we had Dynasty. Like my dad used to call it dysentery, and he still does. But we had those American soap operas, in the UK, and they were quite big. And everybody watched Who Shot JR. That's going way back.
So again,
and
it's just. I don't know if it's a good thing that we do have as much choice now necessarily. Like someone might say that opinion is wrong because censorship, etc., but it's like it's almost like it's been abused just how decentralized things are, because you can plant this idea and now we've got algorithms that are feeding people completely different versions of reality. So no one's like aligned. That's the way it seems to me anyway.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you on that, but no, we can't narrow down the avenues in which we receive information. I don't think that makes sense. That's backwards to me. One, news happens every day, period. But also anything to do with like TV, film, whatever, I treat them like albums and books.
Right.
They're meant to live on. How they live on, do they end up on the discount bookstore shelf? Right?
Some do.
Or do they end up on some catalog that no one ever watches again?
Yeah.
Locked in some bookcase.
Yeah.
I think that's how it is. And those people and those books, they may stand the test of time, because I think the first edition of some of the books we've mentioned, like Peter Pan, still are revered and they're in a shelf and you can't touch them.
Yeah. So it's preservation of certain cultural
quality, or what is deemed quality.
Yeah.
Depending
And it's
on
like who decides?
has deemed it quality.
Yeah. Who decides? It's going to be AI at one point.
For sure.
I know. I think it's going to be the people who invest their money into it, because that's what makes it valuable. If they want their attention on it, that makes it valuable. And so whoever owns that thing that has everyone's attention, they hold all the cards. And some people don't even realize they hold the cards because it could just take one little spark. And then they're like, hold on, you mean this Pokemon card I got? It's worth something? Damn, let me clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. You don't know you don't know in like 10 years what something you could like see as junk, it might become valuable at some stage. But again, okay, so onto the next segment. This is about the cliche side of it. So visually, what is a cliche visual that you've seen that represents this trope? So it's like the blue beam in the sky that, you know, from the clouds, it vaporizes everything beneath it. So I'm just looking for some other examples of cliche visual cues of this trope, like when you know it's about to happen, the clouds
tidal wave.
Well, that as well.
Yeah, volcano eruptions like Dante's Peak or any of those big disaster.
Earthquake starts.
Yeah.
Wait, what's happening?
That's a good one. Godzilla, the glass shaking on the table.
And then there's 2012, isn't there? The film where End of the World. I can't remember.
John Cusack.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah, they take off in a plane off of like they disintegrate. Yeah, okay. Yeah, remember that one.
And then you got you got Transformers where Leonard Nimoy Spock is in this one, and then what was it? The world from the Transformers aligns with Earth, and then everything. Then you've got a blue beam coming. I think you've got a blue beam. Or
that's how generic it is. So I'm just trying to think. Are there any examples that stand out to you? Visual cues. So like you've mentioned the volcanoes, the eruption starting, the table shaking, people panicking. Are there any other visuals?
So nature.
Well, yeah, nature can be very scary. In the end of the
nature is the scariest, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, right up there at the scariest.
If the blue beam doesn't exist, but if we live in a world where Star Wars is real and there's a Death Star and then the planet disintegrating, that's a little scary.
You don't know it. You don't know it, so that makes it less scary. Only the people that know it exists know to be scared. That's it. That's how it always is.
Sure.
So that's going
those who know.
Going back to our previous thing.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe having less information was a good thing for some people because they don't know what to do.
Some people can't sleep. They're like, I could just die at any minute.
Yeah, you just do it, Elon, and buy Twitter, and then you say what you want, completely unfiltered.
Oh boy!
But yeah, that's a completely different topic. But do you have any more visuals that represent this trope?
I mean, like nuclear war, right? Like is a big one. Just the mushroom cloud, I think.
That's a good one. Yeah, the mushroom cloud. That's quite. It's sad that it's cliche because we've seen it so much. We shouldn't have seen it so much because of what it represents, but
Yeah.
Well, the mushroom cloud specifically, there are two scenes that I can think of that makes it kind of cool, but it's still bad, right?
Yeah.
And here's like the latest one. It's not the latest one, but like what is it? It's sorry.
What year was
I'm
it?
blanking right now. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh.
But not Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones. The latest one.
Yeah.
I think the Crystal Skull. I think that one. But anyways, he hides in like a refrigerator, right? And then they drop the bomb and he survives. That's just cool. Doesn't work that way, right? Doesn't work that way. But that was cool as hell.
The spectacle.
I'm like, you mean if I just jump out my fridge, jump in there, it might save me? I'll keep that. I'll store that one in the back of my mind. In the event,
it's been referenced as well. I've seen a few references
right?
of that. Like they get in the fridge, they get in the cupboard.
Types of fridge, though. It's
there's a specific type.
What
of
is it built with? Right? It's lined with lead. And I don't think any fridge we have is lined with lead. Probably the one I have in my garage because I think it predates me.
And then the question is, would that
sounds funny?
Would that be enough? Is the question, which I don't think it would.
Probably not.
But it's a nice idea.
Crazy nuclear bombs these days, they get in everything.
Wow, that's the other part of it. I'm trying to think of a more obvious one because we mentioned the volcanoes, natural disasters.
Ooh, I got one. When everything just goes still, you stop hearing birds.
The complete silence.
There's no more leaves falling. Everything is just stale. You're like, wait, that's not right. There should be noise in the world. The water stop lapping. No,
that's a good sign, and it is quite cliche.
That's not a good sign.
Well, it's not a good sign. But not a good sign. Great example.
You hear yourself breathing? No.
Throw it back to I Am Legend earlier. When you see what you would think is just civilization just completely overgrown and gone back to nature, which we know is a scary bitch.
Yeah. See, that's because people stop working.
True. Someone's got to keep it tidy,
Somebody's got to do it. We don't want to.
So.
What about the film? Sorry to interrupt. What about the film The Quiet Place? Because that's different because you have to be quiet. Because if you're not quiet, then you're going to be eaten or taken away. That to me has. What was it? Sort of
consequences.
Yeah, because if you speak, you're taken, and they did another film with it as well.
But they did that with any movie or show that will take the life of a child to really, I would say, drive home their point.
Yeah,
I think is super authentic. It's daring. You could lose a lot of audiences when you do things like that, and I don't think The Quiet Place did, because you got to see the mother and her heartbreak behind what happened. And sorry, plot twist, but I know it's been out there for a while. But and I think that was in the sequel. But my point is I agree with you, Kylie. I think they did really well because there was consequences, which again we've identified. It was executed well through the acting, through the loss, and again they held true to their stakes.
Okay, so I've got a follow on for that as well. So, okay, this is the last question. How do you convey the stakes without something cliche like a scientist giving a news report?
Say that again.
How do you convey the stakes without a generic news report or a scientist coming on explaining the threat? How would you do that?
Show, not tell.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, you say that. There was one in 2012. A lot of people. So I teach meditation mindfulness, as I said, and I know a lot of spiritual people saying, and it hasn't happened, that 2012, the end of the world. That wasn't from a scientist. That was a Mayan calendar that the world was going to end. So a scientist didn't actually give that fact. It was the Mayan calendar. Yeah. And there was another thing when we went into year 2000. Computers dating would go all wrong.
Yeah, I remember there's something about that.
And
that was meant to be a big thing.
That's two live things that I can think about that actually happened. But so you would with these end of the world films, you always have a scientist or a mad scientist that and then you think about Back to the Future where you got Doc. Yeah. His scenario was going forward in time and then going backward in time, and then he met Clara, and that was it. He was, that was his end of. I love that film. I think it's brilliant. I've seen the theatre show in London as well. It's just incredible. And the car comes. I sat at the front, and the car comes over.
So that show don't tell, isn't it? Because we're actually seeing the actions rather than him just standing there explaining the threat and explaining. Yeah. We're seeing him active, like he's actually traveling through time and doing things.
So, that's my tuppence.
I think, Mike, to your point, like using kids is really a powerful thing in any sense. In this one, especially, like just showing a hospital room full of sick kids or whatever the apocalypse causing thing is. And Terminator even comes to mind when the initial the bombs start going off, and one of the first scenes is the playground just completely disintegrating and melting. Yeah, stuff like that. You really can play on people's heartstrings when you invoke kids. Most of us, some of us are awful humans, but most of us.
Facts. I was gonna. So my answer, I think, rounds out both of us. It's symptoms. I think that's the most subtle thing, because you see it, right? And Contagion, Outbreak.
Yeah.
I think those are fascinating films because you don't need the scientists telling you people are dying. You're literally watching people like, whoa, what's going on? Are you good? You know, like, and then it just starts spreading in your neighborhood. And then you're hearing about, like, from your whoever over across the world. Yeah, that's happening over here too. Now it's spreading word of mouth, and it's visible to you. It's hitting you in your home, in your family, in your friendships, and at your workplace. Like, it's in your face. Those types of things, and it starts off with a runny nose.
Yeah,
that happened in the new Planet of Apes film, where he had a nosebleed, and then from that, it moved on, and then we come to the next film. We didn't see we saw at the end what was going to happen, because we've seen I've seen other Planet of Apes. I grew up watching that, you know.
We know we don't win.
Exactly, you know, and
so sad.
That was the best twist. That was one of the best twists, I think.
Yeah,
the ending of that.
Terrifying twists.
Mm-hmm. That stuck with me as well. But yeah, I think it's just to recap. We got the stakes have to be, well, it's better to show them rather than have an explanation. Philip, you said using children as well, because it's an instant way to get attention if used correctly. I think that's another good point. Are there any other points you can give to the writers that might be dealing with this trope before we sign off?
I think there was a Torchwood. I don't know if you've watched Torchwood.
That's been on for a long time as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they used a kid in one of the episodes. There was, I think it's a. I'll have to look what it's called now. But that was quite harrowing to watch, because I think a child dies. Children of the Earth. Yeah, Children of Earth. That was.
I think along the same lines of symptoms. When Mike said, like, we have a lot of different, and I can't for the life of me think of specifics. Y'all can certainly help me out, I'm sure, but in nature, right? Like, usually before humans experience something, the rest of the world, it hits the rest of the world first, right?
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
So they're our first line of defense.
Yeah, like birds migrating ways they shouldn't be, or just not leaving the area altogether, stuff like that.
You just said something that like the, natural, or what we believe to be the natural order of things change.
Yeah.
Right. We have hundreds of years of data that suggests birds should fly this way at this time of the year, approximately with this much tolerance. And now they're going left.
Yeah. So anything interfering with that, like the fish washing up on the shore as well, the whales, that kind of thing.
How many times you see the footage of whales or whatever, multiple, like just in The Craft? We were watching The Craft, my wife and I, the other day, and like there's these sharks that wash up on the shore.
Yeah.
That is not natural.
That's a bad sign. So that's a nice
but it
visual
happens
one.
in the real life.
Yeah, we do see that. We get the reports. So I think that's a good way to ground the stakes as well, showing how nature's reacting to the threat. And then again, back to more personal stakes when it's children. Like, if you've got any shred of humanity, that's kind of like an easy way to get that.
Well, I don't want to use the word children. I don't want to let us use that word. I think it's, I think, Phil, you said it better, pulling on the heartstring, whatever that means for people, because it may not always be children, right?
Yeah, true.
There are whole plot twists where it's like the world is killing off humanity because humanity is the problem.
The real virus.
It's like they believe humanity is the virus that's killing the planet.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, oh my gosh. So you just see the symptoms on both sides. Like, you start off and you ignore it because it's us, but you start off looking around the world and you see all this global famine, all this trash, and you gloss over it. You're like, oh yeah, that side of the world is bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of got a point.
Rainforest. You go to the rainforest, it's thriving, but it's also not, because the whatever that's trickling from wherever that we are is starting to really impact it. You start off with that, but then in the end, when you start seeing all these people dying, now you care.
Yeah.
Now you care. You're like, whoa, why are people dying? It's because, dude, the world's done with you. They're done.